Okay, so we have our tool shed drawn out. In a previous video, I showed you how to uh, draw the walls out, and we set the dimensions to the proper size from the outside to the outside of the building. We have a tool shed that is going to be 12 feet 0 inches by 16 feet 0 inches. One of the things we discussed was that the walls are definitely too high. And if I click on any one wall here, or even all of the walls, I drag a box around it, you can see that they're 20 feet tall right now. And that is not what we want. We want them to be 8 feet 0 inches. So there's a couple of different ways we can do that. Very simply, I can click on any one of these walls and you'll see a manipulator handle here, which is this little blue triangle. And if I want to do that dynamically, I can take that, grab it with my mouse, and I can move that wall up and down, and I can change that to be whatever I want it to be. Very high, very low, very simply. If I want to make some quick change, if I want to do it manually, or what they call dynamically. But that's not what we want to do, because you'll notice I can't really make that exactly the right height, and I don't know how high that is right now as I'm dragging it. I can see over here that it's 19 feet 9 inches, but to get that down to 8 feet is kind of a pain in the neck. It's kind of guesswork. So we're not going to do it that way. I'm going to show you a couple different ways we can do this. Let's just undo that. Since we want to make all the walls 8 feet 0 inches, let's go back one more step. Okay. If we want to make all the walls 8 feet 0 inches, I can easily select all the walls. Go over here, change this number to 8 feet. If I type in 8, enter, Revit understands that that's 8 feet 0 inches, as you already know. So if I do that, it now creates the walls 8 feet 0 inches, which is awesome. That's a nice, easy way to do it. If I click on the wall, you'll see over here, it is the right height. You'll also notice that it says unconnected. And there's several different things we want to use that for later on, and we'll get into that in a later video. But right now I want to show you another way of doing this that's going to be helpful as you design a more complicated building. So let's undo that. Let's go back to tall walls. Okay, another way we can do this is to look at everything in our elevation view over here in our project browser. So let's look at an east elevation. And when we do that, we see these different heights set. We see the first floor, the foundation, the second floor, and the roof. And this one's in the way, so I can just drag that down a little bit, make some room. Okay, so our first floor is correct. It is 0 feet 0 inches. That's where we're walking. The second floor and the roof are not quite correct. First of all, we don't have a second floor on this particular project. So we can set the heights of any of the walls or other design features using these elevation tags. And this is a really great way to do it. And you should kind of get used to doing that now, because when you start doing more advanced architectural work, you're going to want to do it this way. So first of all, let's just change this name. It's not really the second floor. We're going to call that top of wall. I'll just type that in, top of wall. Now that's going to change the view. So it's asking me, do I want to rename the view? So over here, you're going to see something change. So if I hit yes, I now have a plan called top of wall. So that's very convenient. And this says top of wall. Right? So that's where we want to be, but the dimension is still not the right height. We don't want it to be 9 feet. We want it to be 8 feet. Now you're going to notice this is going to drop down 1 foot. And it did. Okay, so now what this is saying is that the distance from here to here is 8 feet 0 inches, which is very good to know. That's exactly what we want. We'll worry about the foundation later, and we'll worry about the roof later. But for now, let's just look at getting the top of this wall down to this elevation. And since I'm looking at it from the side, I'm actually looking at I'm looking at one wall, but all 4 walls are there. So I can select all 4 walls. And over here, I can change this to 8 feet 0 inches like we did last time, or I can set a constraint. And now we can make it so it's no longer unconnected. We can actually connect it to my new level, which is top of wall. All right, since I set it over here, I click, and you'll notice it automatically drops down to whatever I had set that at. So there's a couple of different ways you can do it. You can do it in the project browser, here under the top of the unconnected height, or I can set different constraints and do it that way. All right, so that's just a really, probably the best way to do it. When you start doing more advanced work, you're going to have many, many different elevation tags. In fact, if you look at some of these other elevations, you'll see there's some other things in there already. Some of these we will use and some we won't use. The foundation, the basement we will use, the top of footing, and all these other things. But that's probably the best way to do it for now.